For Metiria Turei.
Mr. Speaker, tēnā koutou te whare. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by all his government's policies?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister accept that his policies have failed the 35,000 more children now living in severe poverty, that is, in families living on less than half the median income after housing costs, since he became Prime Minister?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, no.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Is his government responsible at all for the fact that 205,000 New Zealand children are now living in severe poverty, that is, in families living on less than half the median income after housing costs?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, firstly, I'd question the member's facts, but secondly, I'd say that the government is providing tremendous support across a range of different initiatives, and it has done for a long time. It also borrowed significantly during the global financial crisis to support the most vulnerable New Zealanders, and a number of parties in this Parliament already today have criticised the government for borrowing to support those vulnerable New Zealanders. I'm a bit surprised by that.
Order. Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister confirm that his better public service targets for reducing the third world disease rheumatic fever are failing, and that in fact there were 26 more children hospitalised for rheumatic fever last year than the year before, and the overall rate of rheumatic fever has increased under his government by 16%?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, no, I don't think it's right to say it's failing. The government's invested over $65 million on rheumatic fever. I think what is fair to say is that there's much more awareness of rheumatic fever. There's a lot more reporting. I think there is a lot more to be done in that case, but the government's running an intensive program in schools and in hospital facilities to try and get on top of rheumatic fever, and it'll continue to invest in that area because it is a third world disease that New Zealand needs to eradicate.
True.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Does the Prime Minister accept that rheumatic fever is a disease of poverty?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I think there's a number of reasons why there's rheumatic fever. It's largely attributed to overcrowding, but there are a range of reasons why there's rheumatic fever.
Entry.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Isn't it the truth that his own data from his own government agencies and his own targets now prove that his policies are driving children into severe poverty, that they are getting sick, and in some cases are dying as a result of that sickness, and that all children in New Zealand deserve a government that will put their interests first?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I just don't simply accept that. I think the government over the course of the last 6 years has done the best it can in the conditions it's inherited globally and domestically to support the most vulnerable New Zealanders. I know that that member lives in a dream world where she believes she can say no to every economic initiative and then on the same moment promise the earth to every New Zealander. But everybody knows that she's not credible when it comes to that.
Point of order. Order. Point of order, Grant
Mr.
Robertson.
Speaker, earlier on you admonished members on this side of the House for including political material in an inappropriate situation. The Prime Minister, in pretty much every answer he's given today, has done that. You've slowly risen to your feet occasionally to bring him to order, but have actually not done so yet again here. And I just want to seek some clarification that the pattern will now continue where he can say whatever he likes and we get told off.
There is no pattern in this House whereby the Prime Minister can say whatever he likes. Order. Order. If members want to stay for the balance of question time, I expect some cooperation when I'm on my feet. And that includes the very front bench and senior members of the Labor Party. I invite members, when they consider that question and answer, to go back and look at the tone of the question that was asked. Further supplementary. Order! I will issue the final warning to the Honourable Annie King. If she interjects again like that, at that sort of barrage, I will be asking her to leave the chamber. Metiria Turei, supplementary question.
Supplementary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister think that 205,000 children living in families with less than half the median wage have enough to thrive?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
To thrive, sorry.
Does the Prime Minister want the question
Sorry, I thought the member was finishing the question. Mr Speaker, what I do think is that the fastest way to move those...
Point of order, Metiria Turei.
You're just not paying attention, sir, so...
Order!
My apologies.
Order! The member will withdraw that remark immediately.
I withdraw. Point of order, sir.
Point of order.
Given the Prime Minister's failure to hear the question, I seek your leave to repeat the question for him.
Absolutely, that's an order, because he wasn't the only one who failed to hear the end of it. I failed to hear it as well. Metiria Turei, if she could repeat the question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does the Prime Minister think that the 205,000 children living in families with less than half the median wage have enough to thrive?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, what I think is the fastest way to move those children, although I don't necessarily accept her analysis of all of them, but what I think the fastest thing to do to help those children out of poor economic conditions is to get those families into work. And what I know is the Green Party is opposed to jobs.
Question number 5, Alfred Nardo.
Ngā mihi nui ki te wiki o te reo Māori. To the Minister of Social Development, what reports has she received about the progress of the government's welfare reforms?